As we near the end of 2023, our work here at WCNC Charlotte pushes forward. Our team has spent all year asking where's the money, covering complex issues impacting people of all backgrounds right here in our community.
We've combed through hundreds of documents, sat down face-to-face with victims of crimes, and took our questions directly to local and federal authorities. From check fraud.
Well, my husband and I were looking at our bank account and we noticed that it looked abnormal. There was a good $1,000 that was missing out of our account.
To ticket scams.
My son starts going through my emails and he says, "Mom, the tickets are gone."
We've left no stone unturned. If you've been a victim of a scam or any other fraudulent crime, we'll get to the bottom of it.
The WCNC Charlotte Where's the Money special starts now. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. We start with a Charlotte woman who says she lost more than $6,000 after someone drained her bank account, all as her bank failed to flag the fraud.
And after 5 months, her money was finally put back into her account. But that's only after WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito asked, where's the money?
There's a lesson here for the rest of us. Even banks' best efforts to protect your money are not perfect. That's why we, the customers, need to be more vigilant too.
$6,235.80.
Kelly Jago's attention to detail is at another level.
There were some minor charges starting on March 25th.
She spent much of her free time in recent months.
On April 5th, the available balance was $28.54.
Documenting every phone call, filing multiple reports, and going back and forth with Ally Bank.
Between March 25th to April 5th, there were 23 fraudulent transactions.
A bank she says failed to flag thousands of dollars of suspicious transactions over the course of 11 days.
On April 5th, I received the first notifications, which were overdraft notifications.
Initially, letters show Ally would only credit back a little more than $1,000, telling her the bank would help dispute the remaining charges directly with a third-party online payment service where they originated. But that proved unsuccessful.
I felt absolutely hopeless about it, but I was thinking, this is so obvious.
Which left Jago scrambling and out of money.
It's left me in a complete pit of despair financially and also emotionally.
She says leading up to the fraud, she used this nearby ATM and suspects a skimmer accessed her information.
It feels so violating.
There's always a residual risk.
Bill Chu is a cybersecurity expert and professor at UNC Charlotte. He says banks rely on algorithms, which usually consider several factors, including the location of a purchase and a cardholder's spending patterns, to help identify, flag, and stop fraud. And he says generally, they do a good job of alerting customers early, but they're not infallible.
If there's any consolation, that's for vast majority of people, this is not going to be a problem because they have tuned the algorithm so that it's statistically tolerable for people, but it's not perfect.
He says that's why you should log into your account every day to make sure nothing's amiss. Set notifications so you're alerted whenever a transaction hits a spending threshold, and when you can, use a credit card because your money is better protected.
All the money was back.
It took our questions and Jago filing a complaint with the Attorney General's office. But just days before her 30th birthday,
this is the best possible birthday present I have ever gotten.
Ally returned Jago's money months after someone first took it.
We're happy that you're getting your money back. That's your money. Yes. You deserve it. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. This is the best possible resolution. To me, it's the only resolution.
In a statement to WCNC Charlotte, Ally apologized for Jago's experience and the length of time it took to resolve her complaint, telling us the company strives to make the process as easy and stress-free as possible. She's since closed her Ally accounts. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
Now to a scam warning. The Federal Trade Commission has a warning for hundreds of companies about phony online customer reviews. Internet shoppers know that they're out there, but pinning them down, it can be tricky. In fact, when WCNC Charlotte went to trace the origin of one particular review, as Jane Monreal discovered, It was like entering a house of mirrors.
When it comes to shopping online or considering a purchase, most of us check out customer reviews, and companies know that. In order to have a positive reputation online, some businesses post fake reviews. Well, not only are fake reviews all over the internet, as we found out, sometimes it's the same exact review posted for different companies.
At first glance, it looks like Linda Jones left a positive review for a local roofing company. It starts with saying, "We are so happy with our new shingles." But a Google search using that review word for word by Linda Jones resulted in pages and pages of different companies with the identical review, including an automotive dealership in Australia. Unless cars down under require shingles, deceptive reviews are getting out of control. In this case, we learned this particular review was part of a widget template by Duda, a website builder. I reached out to Duda, a company spokesperson, sending a statement saying in part, quote, "It appears that users have taken Duda's templates and either forgot or chose not to update them on their end. If users have not realized they are using template content or are unsure of how to change page content, they are always welcome to reach out to Duda's support team." I called that Charlotte roofing company and told the owner of our discovery. I asked the owner, "Do you know you have the same review as hundreds of other companies?" The owner referred me to their IT person, and when I called the number provided, it got weird. Because of FCC rules, we can't let you hear her voice, but you can see on the screen what she said.
"You say I have a fake review on my website? Could you read it?"
I started recording after realizing the woman who supposedly answered the phone was repeating herself. You hear a big gap of silence before she replies to me.
"Okay, I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, probably something they didn't change."
This is a total loop. That's right. It's clearly not a real person responding to me. It's a recording.
Thank you for pointing out, because I use also another widget that actually pulled reviews into the website. You see what I'm saying?
This tells me they got so many complaints about fake reviews, they actually created a recording, pretending to explain the situation. I circled back with the owner of that roofing company, who told me this was all news to him. Then he referred me back to the IT person. No one picked up next time around, but I didn't hear that recording either. And revisiting the roofer's website, the identical reviews by Linda Jones and others have been taken down or updated with their own content.
Meantime, the Federal Trade Commission knows there is a problem. They're taking initiative aimed at exploring whether rules are needed to combat fake and deceptive reviews. While a spokesperson for the agency says they're not targeting any particular company, the FTC did put hundreds of companies on notice in 2021, warning them they could face fines for deceptive endorsements. A recent report released top 5 products on Amazon with fake reviews. For that information and how you can spot a fake review, visit our website, WCNC.com. Jane Monreal, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, a Charlotte teacher has hit on something big when it comes to making money. He was teaching a financial literacy class when he realized he and others like him could benefit from the same thing.
And that idea, building a nest egg, is not just for the wealthy, and that knowing how to manage your money, it can be life-changing at every income level. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden shows us his tricks so others aren't left asking, where's the money?
Talk about an aha moment. Brian Lee was asked to speak at a conference about how to manage money when you don't have a ton of it. So many people were interested. He realized it was something he could teach, and now he's doing something about it.
You're going to do a 3 times 7, right?
Brian Lee is a popular teacher at Providence Day School.
I'm going to show you what it is.
But he didn't expect to be so popular with fellow teachers when he spoke at a conference for Black and brown teachers last year.
Was humbled and just blown away by the response. The fire marshal had to come and lock the doors, so it was well attended.
His talk? Financial literacy and the idea that it doesn't have to just be the rich getting richer.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that you have to be wealthy to start. And that's one of the big aha moments also, was like, wow, as long as you start early, often and early, that's what's important.
Because I can push you a little bit in this class.
Lee teaches a financial literacy class there at Providence Day School, but realized he needed to educate himself on some of the basics for his own family.
Teaching is such hard work. And I was going, wow, no one's coming to save us, right? Like, there's no legislation coming down, teacher pay gap, racial pay gap, the gender pay gaps. No one's coming. We've got to learn this stuff, and the knowledge is out there. I got to get in this investing game. There's a reason why wealthy people are wealthy.
Now he's trying to share the wealth, doing one-on-one financial counseling.
This really focuses around financial literacy, maximizing retirement accounts, the fundamentals like savings versus investing, understanding what net worth is, credit score.
One of his first clients is a 30-year-old teaching fellow who admits he assumed he couldn't afford to have any investments.
No, not at all, not at all. And I knew the importance of it. You know, I had started to see, but I didn't think that it was accessible to me, to be honest. Like, as somebody who didn't come from money, you know, who doesn't really have a lot now, I always looked at, you know, trading as something for stockbrokers.
After working with Lee, he's completely changed his thought process.
So, you know, that's at the forefront of my mind, is providing, is, you know, beginning to build generational wealth, because I got somebody that, you know, I've got to pass it down to now.
Lee says these lessons are even more important for Black and brown people who traditionally don't invest in the stock market.
The statistics are just so shocking. The net worth of people of color is multiple times below white Americans.
Lee says if there's one big takeaway he wants everyone to hear, it is work smarter, not harder, and make your money work for you. We've got lots more of his tips on our website, WCNC.com. Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
Mobile banking has made things a lot easier for us, but we're learning mobile check deposit could open up the opportunity for fraud. Coming up, what you need to know before you write another check. Well, welcome back. Technology makes a lot of everyday errands easier, like banking, which you can now do, of course, on your handheld device.
Yeah, it is less time wasted since you don't have to go to the bank for simple transactions like depositing a check. But as WCNC Charlotte's Jane Monreal shows us in this Where's the Money report, there is something you should know before writing your next check.
Well, more and more people are depositing checks written out to them using remote deposit capture on their phone. It's basically uploading a picture of the check to your bank's mobile app. You're supposed to destroy the hard copy of the check after it's processed, but some payees are still holding on to that check, then depositing it again months later. That's what happened to the wife of a WCNC employee recently. Fortunately, she was keen enough to catch it, so she's not stuck asking, where's the money?
Well, my husband and I were looking at our bank account, and we noticed that it looked abnormal. There was a good $1,000 that was missing out of our account, and we realized it was a check that was cashed. We thought that our boat mechanic had actually just forgotten to cash the check. He found it, and then 6 months later, we deposited it. But I told my husband, I said, I think I remember that check clearing. So I went back through our previous statements, and sure enough, it had cleared.
So, because the $1,000 check had been deposited twice, Lauren Hibbard's account was out $2,000. The Hibbards immediately called their bank.
And they were actually able to see that, in fact, the check had cashed twice.
In the bank world, this is known as double presentment. After conducting their own investigation, Bank of America put the money back in Hibbard's account for the second check deposit.
They did say that things like this have happened before, and that's probably the biggest shock is it wasn't a shock to them.
We reached out to Bank of America. It's been over 2 weeks and have not heard any response. Bob Sullivan, consumer expert and contributor for CNBC, says banks have millions of accounts to look at, but use algorithms to find obvious acts of fraud.
Where they set those thresholds is really what the problem is, because if they set them too low, then they're going to be calling you all of the time and bothering you with too many complaints. So with something like two identical $1,000 checks, in this case, the bank's threshold was set high enough that they let that go through instead of flagging that as an obvious scam.
Don't just assume that just because it's a big bank that things like this can't happen, because we were kind of shocked it did happen.
Hibbard says she'll think twice before writing a check again. And keep in mind, this could happen to you even if you don't use mobile banking. So it's a good idea to go over your bank statements regularly and see that nothing is out of the ordinary. Jane Monreal, WCNC Charlotte.
And on that note of checking your bank statements, if you do find a check you wrote has been deposited twice, first thing to do is call your bank immediately. You'll want to dispute the transaction. Keep in mind that could take several days, but your bank should eventually credit your account. And then you might also want to just think twice about writing checks at all. Using a credit card usually provides more protection if there ends up being an issue.
A Charlotte businesswoman now says what she thought would be the best time of her life, finally realizing a decades-long dream of opening up her own company ended up being the most expensive lesson of her life, leaving her asking, where's the money?
Yeah, she says a contractor took $40,000 and $40,000 in work she says she did not get. When we brought her story to the experts, they say there were red flags aplenty, and we can all learn from this.
Hiking buddy.
Amanda Hebblethwaite is getting some playtime in with her foster pup, Bobby Brown. He's one of several doggy guests at Planet Pup, which opened its doors early last month at long last.
It took me literally the whole 40 years of my life.
But the business owner says her lifelong dreams of an animal care company were nearly dashed.
It hit us hard. We got to a point where we didn't even know if we wanted to continue.
Hebblethwaite says months back she was looking for a contractor to help get her doggy daycare vision off the ground when a neighbor tagged one they knew on her Facebook page.
He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. I asked him if he was bonded and insured. He told me yes. I guess the excitement of everything just had me caught up in the moment.
She says there was no contract, and the contractor quoted her $40,000, a third of which he wanted up front. Hebblethwaite says he started on the floors, but then the project ran into some red tape, a hurdle she says the contractor promised he would clear.
A couple weeks went by and I'm like, hey, have you heard anything? I really want to get this going. And he's like, oh no, it takes a while.
With the on-site work on hold, Hebblethwaite says the contractor promised to build her kennels at home and install them once the hold was over. Meantime, she says he kept asking for more money for labor and supplies. And when she wanted progress reports,
every week it was something else. He had appendicitis, his son was in the hospital, he was back in the hospital. He went to Florida and lost his wallet. It was just, the excuses were crazy. And after a while, I was just like, listen, are you taking my money?
That's when she says he got defensive, offered to meet up and return her money and supplies, but never showed. She says she started searching his name online and found a prior mugshot for charges of taking money, but not doing any work.
I knew right then I got robbed.
There are so many people that have that itch, especially through the pandemic, to become an entrepreneur. And they don't have the knowledge.
Tom Bartholomew with the Better Business Bureau says Hebblethwaite's story is an important reminder to vet and verify, even in a tight labor market when it's tempting to loosen standards to get a job done. Bartholomew says a quick search found the contractor in question has no license, highlighting what he says is a little-known fact about North Carolina law.
In North Carolina, you don't have to have a license unless you're doing jobs that are more than $30,000. Or you're in a specific trade like electrician or plumber, something like that.
Attorney Gary Monty says Hebblethwaite's case throws up several red flags for him.
If somebody does act offended when you're asking basic questions, that should be a hint to you that you don't need to be doing business with them.
And the lack of contract, he says, could also make it harder to pursue the case in court.
It could be a piece of yellow notebook paper, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With what's the date, what's supposed to be done, how much are we going to pay each other, and then signatures at the bottom of the page. I cannot tell you how valuable that would be and how much money that might save you in the future.
A lesson hard learned for Hebblethwaite, whose eagerness to finally get going almost landed her dreams in the doghouse.
Just really do your research on people. Just a quick Google of somebody's name could save you literally thousands of dollars at the end.
Now, Tom Bartholomew also says it's crucial that budding business owners educate themselves on the ins and outs of legal dealings as much as possible. And that's because many protective laws in North Carolina cover consumers, but not necessarily business owners, because business owners are assumed by law to be more savvy than the average consumer. By the way, we chose not to name the contractor since Hebblethwaite says police have not pursued charges at this time, and she is still in the process of vetting out a lawsuit against him. We did reach out to the contractor in question, and he did not reply to us.
Well, imagine paying thousands of dollars for concert tickets and then poof, they're gone. That's what happened to one Charlotte woman, and she has a warning for you.
A story to know before turning to secondary markets like StubHub for big ticket shows. And now we've seen folks do this to find tickets to Taylor Swift, Beyonce, other big acts.
Yeah, but one Charlotte woman learned the hard way here. There are things you need to know when using those outlets. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden found out why she's asking, where's the money?
She flew to New York and was actually walking into the concert with her kids when she realized the tickets that she bought on her phone and paid for were no longer hers.
I saw that Billy Joel was coming to Madison Square Garden.
Pam Stowe is turning 70 this year and thought it would be fun to celebrate with her two sons who live in New York City.
I'm going to surprise them with tickets. I have a big birthday coming up, and I thought this is a big splurge. It's a big splurge, but I'm going to do it.
She admits she spent a lot of money, $3,000 to get 4 great seats.
And I was so excited I couldn't sleep that night.
She got an email from StubHub confirming her order and the fact that the money was taken from her bank account. Stowe says she waited to download the tickets, hoping to surprise the boys with how great the seats were, and she didn't want to take any chances with technology.
I'm almost 70 years old, and I decided, and I'm not that great at technology, and I thought I'm going to wait and get with my kids before I opened the email with the tickets.
But just an hour before Billy Joel was set to take the stage,
my son starts going through my emails, and he says, "Mom, the tickets are gone."
Stowe had received this email from StubHub sent the day before the concert saying, "Your seller is no longer able to provide the tickets you originally purchased."
I just burst into tears. I couldn't even talk. I was so upset.
We spoke with representatives for StubHub, and they told us, quote, less than an hour before the show, the buyer contacted customer service that she was unable to locate her tickets. After troubleshooting with the buyer, StubHub began the process of finding replacement tickets.
Did they give any explanation as to what happened with the tickets?
No, except that it was the third party's fault. And my son asked them who the third party might be, and they said either they weren't sure, and the tickets were either probably released to either Ticketmaster or there's another ticket site.
StubHub said that to you on the phone?
To my son, yes. And so, I mean, they just hijacked our tickets, in my opinion.
A rep from StubHub told us unopened tickets are not automatically relisted as they belong to the buyer.
If I sold you these glasses and you gave me $20 for them, they would be yours forever and to put on right now or never. They're yours. I don't understand the concept of you buy something and it can be taken from you. I just had my head full of what this night was going to be like. And the kids were so excited, but it was just, it was a huge disappointment.
A StubHub rep told us that this was a technology error, and they advise all customers to immediately download the email and, of course, the tickets as soon as you receive it to avoid any potential problems. And they say that gives them more time to troubleshoot if issues come up. We can tell you StubHub did completely refund all of her money for the tickets and give her a $200 credit. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
And with that, we do want to thank you for joining us for our Where's the Money special.
And again, if you have something you would like us to look into, email us at money@wcnc.com. Have a great night.